We got the auto shop dog in here with us for a little bit. He was wanting to come out and say hello. Say hello. Say hello. Say hi. He's ready to go for a ride in this truck. Let's try to get it done. I'm ready to have it done. Alright guys, we're back out here. I'm going to try to do a little bit of a marathon. Try to get a bunch of stuff done. Pull a super late night. See what we can get accomplished on this thing. So, we'll see. I'm going to devote the evening to it, the night to it, and see what we can get done. Got a fuel tank we can mount. Fuel lines. I got some more paint to finish painting the rear axle, so that's an easy thing to do to get checked off the list. Speaking of lists, I got this whiteboard. The normal cleaners aren't doing the trick on it, so I'm gonna try some brake cleaners and see if that'll rip that marker off of there so I can get a list going so that I know what I got to do. So we'll give this a go. Ooh. Melting it like a popsicle on the 4th of July. Might get a little bit of planning done. It's hard to wipe that with one hand, so you get the idea. So one time when I was a kid, I was working at an auto shop and I had a wart that was growing here on my pinky. And like, it'd get caught on stuff when I was working on cars. Tear the head off of it, start bleeding. One day I just got pissed off. So I hooked a set of needle nose vice grips to it. I literally clamped a set of like smaller needle nose vice grips to it. Clamped it on there and held it upside down and took a razor blade and trimmed around it, and it was like dripping blood, and finally cut it out. And anyways, got it all cut out and just had blood running down my arm and everything. And then I took a can of brake cleaner and just hit it with that, put a shop towel on it, probably a red one just like this. Put it on there, got some electrical tape, wrapped around it. Never come back, so that was pretty cool. We tried freezing it off with that stuff you buy from the store. We tried going to my dad's work. They had a liquid nitrogen thing, and we got some of that out and dipped Q-tips in it and really tried to freeze it off, and it wouldn't go nowhere. But boy, I don't know if it was the cutting it out or the brake cleaner, but whatever it was, took care of it. So brake cleaner's a cure-all. Alright, so we put a list together. We got brake lines, fuel lines, bench bleed the master cylinder, steering column, steering wheel, mount the grill, hammer out some dents in the fenders, fender mount. We got to trim the inner fenders, build a mount for the rear of the transmission. We could start on the beginnings of the exhaust, floors, and maybe some sound deadener. So that's some stuff that's going to be easy to do, that needs done and out of the way. So easy to do, whatever. But we'll get started on some of this stuff and see how far we can get. If you guys have any experience on making headliners for things like this, let me know, because I've never done it and don't even know how to go about getting the curves and the corners and all that stuff. So if you got experience and want to shoot me an email, buildersgarage.j031@gmail.com. Or if you got any helpful advice on any of this stuff, feel free to shoot me an email and give me some tips. I think we're going to start with the front brakes first. We'll mount the brackets for the rubber lines, and then mount our proportioning valve, and then we can run our hard line across, tie all that hard line stuff in, and then run our fuel line and our brake lines to the back of the truck while we're under there. Run that all together. So that's the plan. We're gonna get started on that stuff first. Be a little bit time consuming, but I'm not the best at running this stuff, but I try to make it look as clean as I can. We'll see how it turns out. So I came across an ad for this brake line somewhere. I can't even remember where it was, if it was on a Facebook thing or Amazon or what, but anyways, I looked up their website. They seem to have some good talking points. I can't remember what it was, but we're gonna try it out. The main reason I got it is because it came with a ton of fittings and stuff, so that's pretty cool. So we'll get our hose brackets mounted and then worry about this stuff. Alright, we got the rubber lines ran. Now we need to mount the proportioning valve, then we can start running hard lines. Alrighty, so the proportioning valve came with these little pre-bent lines, but the way that they were coming with our power steering lines and everything, they used to come out straight, and they were hitting the frame rails and power steering lines and everything. So I kind of bend them over. I'm gonna see if I can mount the proportioning valve kind of underneath the master cylinder here. So it'll kind of be like that, but up higher. So, but I gotta have two hands to do this. So let me get the camera set down here. I almost need to tie those back for a second, but if I can get it started here. Like so. Get this one brought up. Like that. And you get a wrench to kind of snug that up, and then I can maybe tweak on that a little bit better to get it sitting straight. Something like that. Like that to come forward a little bit. There, that might work. Alright, so I got the proportioning valve mounted in there. Came with a little bracket that hooks to it, so Try to figure out how to use this to anchor that into the frame, but that should work like there, right there. Alright, we got the proportioning valve in and tightened up. That's all good to go. So now we just got to figure out running our brake lines, how they're going to go. So I'm going to grab some of the brake line out of the package, kind of get it straightened out, and then we'll start building some lines. Alright, so I just took this piece of scrap wire that I had in my wire bin and just kind of ran it about the route where I want my brake line to go, just so that I could get a good overall straight distance length, and then I added a couple inches to it just to make sure that we had enough. So now I know that I need to straighten this much out of this and cut it off, and then I can start forming it to the shape of the frame rails. So we'll get this cut off and start building the brake line. I had a really good friend and mentor teach me this trick. When building brake lines, or any of these you got to do a flare on, cut it with your cutter and then take one of these stepper drill bits that fits in there and just use that to just gently clean up that burr that bit leaves, or the cutter leaves. And that way you can avoid having this little guy here get stuck in there, or it helps it center up in there a lot better too. So just a tip, an easy thing to do to ensure that you're getting a good deal. Alright, so that's, I don't know if you can see that, if it's in focus or not. That's kind of like what it looks like after you cut the brake line off. So I'm going to clean it out and then show you what it looks like after. See, nice and round. Alright, ended up getting that flare done there. Hooked up to the proportioning valve. Just gotta hook up that other end and then do just a few minor tweaks to just get it to follow stuff really nice and clean. But other than that, it came out pretty good. So we'll hook that up to the hose on this side, put in the little keeper pin, and then put a couple little line hooks to the frame, and passenger side brake line's done. So got the other side for the driver's side measured out. It's probably a little bit long. I'm gonna have to do some creative bending on it. So, but I know I at least need that much, maybe less, but that much. So we're gonna get that cut out and start doing some bending.
Just got the brake line on. What are you gonna do next, Dad?
Well, we got the front brake line in. So now
We gotta get the back.
we just gotta hook the clamps to hold it to the frame, and then we'll start running the hard line for the back. Right?
Yep.
Perfect.
I'm a special helper today, just to let you know.
Alright, well, my full push on getting a bunch of stuff done tonight is already starting to be thwarted. So I went to start running the rear brake lines and realized that the output of the proportioning valve is a different size than my brake line that I have. So, and the parts store's already closed, so I can't just run uptown and grab some more brake lines. So I'm gonna have to put the rear brake lines on hold. I can still run fuel lines and get some stuff done, but can't do the rear brake lines yet. So I was just looking at the vacuum line for the brake booster. Comes out here. I was going to use some of this line that I have to build that. Turns out it's a different size also. So now I'm trying to figure out a way that I can bend this around and drop it down through and tie into the vacuum port on my booster under here. So that's what I'm doing right now, is just kind of tinkering on that, trying to figure out where I think I can just basically J-hook that around that thermostat housing and kind of dump it back down on an angle. And then I'll just use a little short rubber connector between this and a piece of this hard line, and then run that rest of the hard line down and use a little piece of hose to hook that together. So that's the plan. Just trying to make it work now. Alright, so I got my hard line made for the vacuum to the brakes. So basically what I'm going to do is run a short connector piece of vacuum rubber line between this hard line and here, and then a little piece between here and the booster. And then I'm going to put some of that asphalt old wire loom material over this so that it just looks like something that should be there. So anyways, that's the plan. I'll see if I got some hose that I can use to connect this up, and if I do, we'll get that done. Alright, so being as this engine is going to have stuff like this on it, I'm going to try to disguise it as much as possible. So I'm going to take some of that old style asphalt loom and cover all these vacuum lines with it, just to try to help make it look not so obvious. So anyways, I'm going to do that, and then we got to get the throttle body mounted on here so we can start on fuel lines. So we got, what all have we done? We've been tinkering on quite a bit of stuff. Oh, got the loom and stuff put on the vacuum lines. Got this vacuum line ran down to the brakes. Cleaned up the throttle body and all this stuff, so it's put on and ready to go. What else did we do? Oh, we got the hard lines that go from the throttle body. They run from the back of the throttle body around here and down through here. So I'm gonna have to pop the belt off to get those put on. But put a coat of paint on those, so they'll be ready to go here in a little bit once the paint sets up. So I want to get the grill shell put on, but it probably won't hold me back too much from the the brake line. So once I get the fuel lines on, I'll probably put the grill shell on, get it bolted on and ready to go. What else? Gonna make sure I got all the bolts tightened down on the brake pedal. I can start running hard lines for the fuel lines from back here up the frame, and then we'll finish that once we get the brake lines, the fuel tank mounted, and the front hard lines on. So just gonna keep plugging away. We'll keep giving you updates and show you what we got going. So alrighty, we got the hard fuel lines tied into the throttle body, ran down and ready to tie in to these hard lines once we run them along the frame. So I'm gonna get putting these in along the frame, headed back and hooked to the frame and ready to go. So when we get the fuel tank in, we'll be ready. So I'll take you down under there with me, see if you can squeeze under there and see what we got going on. So Alright, after smacking my head off the freaking differential yoke, seeing stars, holy cow. Anyways, I think I got this kind of bent into shape. We'll tighten up this union and then hang this one on the frame and grab the next one and start it. Alrighty, we got both the fuel lines run back to here. So now when we get the fuel tank put in, we just gotta run a couple short lines from the fittings, tie into there, and be good to go. So, right now, I'm gonna roll this bad boy back a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting tired. It's 1 o'clock. So, starting to slow down a little bit. So, but I think I'm good to put the grill shell on now. So, I'm gonna do that. So, I've got to pull the radiator back out of it to bolt the frame down, and then the fenders go on, and then the radiator goes back in. So a little bit of a puzzle, but I'm at least going to get the shell mounted on so we can kind of see, make it look like something. I'm starting to slow down. I need something to look at, something to get me excited. Trying to remember how this goes on. Well, all my batteries are dead. It's 3 in the morning. Got a little bit done, but I'll get batteries charged up and catch you up to date in the morning. Alright, it's a new day, new batteries. So, kind of give you a rundown on what I did last night. Tried to get the the fender put on so that I could make sure where the grill shell needs to be, to see about clearancing stuff for making the radiator fit. I found out last night that apparently, I don't know, it's going to be really close between the back of the electric fan and the water pump pulley. And then I've got to run these bolts down through the other way so that they're not coming up and interfering with the bottom of the radiator. And the lower radiator outlet hits on the frame over here. So I'm going to have to remove some stuff and maybe cut out a saddle and weld in a piece of pipe down there to clearance for that. So always fun. Anyways, so that's kind of where we're sitting. I got both fuel lines ran back. I need to get some different barbed end fittings. I guessed on the hose sizes and I was wrong again. So I have them ran back to here where they come out of the frame rail, and then kind of trying to get an idea of how the fuel tank's gonna sit in there. I don't know. I mean, that'd probably work pretty good. It'll be covered by the bed mostly anyways, so then we'll just have to cut a hole in that for the fuel filler neck in the bed and put a door in. So that's kind of what I was working on last night. Was just getting lines ran. Hopefully get back out here again today and keep making some more progress. So I couldn't really, I wanted to start hammering on these dents on the fenders, but it's kind of hard to do that at 3 in the morning when you have neighbors. So I ran out of batteries, and so I just ended up calling it, going to bed and trying to get a few hours of sleep. So anyways, got a bunch of stuff to keep working on, so we'll just keep plugging away at it. Well, we went uptown to the post office and I remembered we got a car show today, so let's go walk around the car show. We'll check it out.
Well, I missed the kick in the big game, failed my driving test, misspelled my ex-girlfriend's name on the tattoo on my chest, 'cause I can't do nothing right, and I can't seem to get along. I've forgotten what it looks like on the other side of wrong. Yeah, I picked a fight with a boxer, scratched her name till tall, gave a heart attack to the doctor, and lost my mama's dog. On the left on a red light, and lost my right to drive. Just showed me to the shallow end, and I'm sure to die right in, 'cause I can't do nothing right, and I can't seem to get along. Oh, I've forgotten what it looks like on the other side of wrong. In this dirty downtown bar, drinking up my money, and I pissed it in the bathroom stall. A man of my disposition should steer clear of alcohol, but if I didn't make bad decisions, I wouldn't make no decisions at all, 'cause I can't do nothing right, and I can't seem to get along. I've forgotten what it looks like on the other side of wrong. I've forgotten what it looks like on the other side of the
All right, just got back from uptown, parts store. We got the right brake line for the rear brakes. Stopped by the post office, dropped that stuff off, and we got a new certificate of title for Kinsey's truck. It's got her name on it, her name alone. It's all hers. So, you have shoes on? Perfect. So, now when we get it done, we'll be ready to drive it.